They didn't yell at you. They didn't threaten you. They didn't say a single word. They just stopped. No replies, no eye contact, no acknowledgement that you exist. And somehow, that silence carved something out of you that no argument ever could. You replayed every word. You apologized for things you didn't do. You bent yourself into someone you didn't recognize just to get them to look at you again. And when they finally did, you felt grateful. That's not immaturity. That's not needing space. That is one of the most precise psychological weapons one human being can use against another. And today, we expose every layer of it. First, destroy the myth. Society told you the silent treatment is immature, a childish response from someone who ran out of words. That framing will get you hurt because it makes you underestimate it. Yes, sometimes silence is immaturity. Someone who doesn't know how to express themselves. A person overwhelmed and shutting down. But there is another kind of silence. It arrives precisely when you need connection the most. It lifts precisely when you've surrendered enough. That silence is not a communication failure. That silence is the communication. And the difference between those two silences is the difference between someone hurting and someone hunting. The neuroscience, why it breaks you from the inside. Here is what nobody told you. When someone gives you the silent treatment, your brain processes it in the same region it processes physical pain. The anterior cingulate cortex. The same neural pathway that fires when you break a bone, fires when you are socially excluded. This is not a metaphor. Rejection literally hurts. Silence literally hurts. Being ignored by someone you love creates a measurable, real neurological pain response. But here is what makes it more devastating than physical pain. A bruise has a source. A cut has a wound you can point to. You know what happened, when it happened, why it hurts. Social pain? The wound is invisible. The cause is deniable. The person delivering it can look you in the eye and say, "I'm not doing anything to you." And they're technically correct. They're doing nothing. That's exactly the point. The 5 ways silence is used as a weapon. 1. Punishment without a trial. In a real argument, you can defend yourself. You can present your side. You can ask for fairness. Silence removes all of that. There's no accusation to address, no argument to engage, no conversation to be part of. You are simply removed, like a subject who displeased the king. And the cruelest part, they never have to say what you did wrong. They never have to justify it. They never have to be reasonable. The silence says it for them. You have failed me. You will not know how. And you will suffer until I decide you've suffered enough. Punishment without evidence. A sentence you didn't know you were receiving. 2. It forces you to chase. Watch what happens in your body when someone goes silent on you. Your mind races. You replay every word looking for the mistake. You reach out. Twice. 3 times. You soften your tone. You apologize for things you're not even sure happened. You perform remorse just to end it. Now ask yourself, who has the power in that moment? Not you. You are chasing. They are deciding if you're worth a response. And a person who is chasing is not a person who is leaving. A person apologizing is not a person holding you accountable. A person desperate for your attention is a person you can control. The silent treatment doesn't just punish, it repositions. It places them above you in the hierarchy of the relationship and holds them there for as long as the silence lasts. 3. It teaches you what you're allowed to be. This is the part nobody talks about. The silent treatment is not just a response to what you did. It is a lesson in what you are permitted to do. Every time you expressed a need, silence. Every time you disagreed, silence. Every time you tried to hold them accountable, silence. And every time the silence ended, when you backed down, when you apologized, when you made yourself smaller, your nervous system recorded the lesson. This version of me is safe. The one with opinions and limits and needs, that version gets punished. This is behavioral conditioning. Not through words, through the strategic removal of connection. Slowly, over months, over years, you stop expressing the things that triggered the silence. Not because you stopped feeling them, because you learned they cost too much. You don't even notice it happening. You just become someone quieter, someone who asks for less, someone who takes up less space, and they never had to say a single word. 4. It creates obsession. Think about someone who went silent on you. How much mental space did they take up? Checking your phone every hour, every conversation, distracted. Your mind returning to them like a tongue returning to a sore tooth. That is not love. That is preoccupation born from unresolved pain. And psychologically, it functions exactly like addiction. When something you need is withheld, your brain doesn't move on. It fixates. It escalates. It becomes consumed with getting the thing it's been denied. Dopamine floods your system, not when you receive connection, but when you are desperately seeking it. They made you addicted to their attention by withholding it. And when they finally break the silence, when they finally speak your name again, act like you exist again, the relief is so overwhelming, you don't stop to examine what just happened. You're just grateful it's over. And that gratitude resets the cycle, ready to begin again. 5. It leaves no evidence. This is the most sophisticated part of the weapon. If someone hits you, there is a mark. If someone screams at you, there are witnesses. If someone lies about you, there is a record. But silence? I just needed space. I was processing my feelings. I never said a word to hurt you. Nothing to name, nothing to prove, nothing that holds up when you try to explain it to someone else. And so you start to doubt yourself. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe they were just upset. Maybe I am the problem. This is the genius of the weapon. It damages you completely while leaving the user's hands spotless. They are never the abuser in this story because they never did anything. They just went quiet. Not everyone who goes silent is a weapon. Let's be precise. Real, overwhelmed silence looks different. It says, I need a moment. It returns without requiring your full collapse. It doesn't wait for your breaking point to end. Weaponized silence is different. It arrives in patterns, triggered by your independence, your needs, your attempts to hold them accountable. It lifts when you've given what they wanted. It is not random. It is not confused. The person using it knows exactly what it does to you. They've watched it work before. What it leaves behind. People repeatedly subjected to weaponized silence develop specific, lasting patterns. Hypervigilance, scanning every pause, every short reply, every shift in tone as the beginning of abandonment. Compulsive over-explaining, saying far more than necessary just to leave no room for silence. And the hardest one, difficulty trusting peace. When someone is consistently kind and present and safe, it feels wrong, unstable, too good, like it's about to collapse. Because your nervous system was trained in a relationship where warmth was always one wrong move from vanishing. That nervous system doesn't know how to receive consistency. It just keeps waiting for the silence to come back. The reflection. Think about the most painful silence you've ever received. Not the one that hurt the most in the moment, the one that changed you. The one after which you started watching your words more carefully, sharing less, asking for less, needing less. Now ask yourself honestly, did I become quieter because I grew? Or did I become quieter because I was trained to? That answer is not comfortable, but it is necessary. The truth about people who do this. A person who weaponizes silence learned early that direct conflict is dangerous, that expressing needs leads to rejection, that the only safe power is the power of withdrawal. They learned to leave before being left, to punish before being hurt. This is not a defense of what they do. It is an explanation of how someone becomes capable of it. Because what they never learned, what no one ever taught them, is that the people who truly love you do not need to be afraid of you to stay. That love delivered through fear is not love. It is a hostage-taking. The final truth. The silent treatment was never about communication. It was always about power, about who holds it, about who is willing to do whatever it takes to keep it. The moment you stop chasing, the moment you stop shrinking into the shape they made for you, the weapon stops working. Because silence only has power over people who cannot sit with uncertainty, over people who need resolution more than they need dignity, over people who learned to place connection above their own sense of self. You were not weak for feeling it. You were human. But here is what they never wanted you to know. Silence cannot hurt a person who no longer needs the approval of the person delivering it. That is not coldness. That is freedom. And freedom is the one thing they were never going to give you. Go take it yourself.